Today, we'll be presenting question 1 and 2, which discuss the statement, the doctrines of incorporation and lifting the corporate veil are not contradictory but complementary mechanisms within company law. Also, dissolution of the partnership under law in Malaysia and relevant case law. So, in this presentation, I will explain the meaning of incorporation, the doctrine of lifting the corporate veil, the relevant Malaysian legal principles, important case law, and finally, why these two doctrines complement each other. First one is incorporation. So in company law, incorporation is the legal process of forming a company. Once a company is registered under the Companies Act 2016, it becomes a separate legal entity that is distinct from its shareholder and directors. So this means that the company has its own legal identity. It can be own property, enter into contract, sue or be sued, and continue to exist even if its shareholder or directors change. This concept is known as perpetual succession. Another important feature is limited liability. Generally, shareholders are only responsible for the amount they invested in the company. Their personal assets are protected from the company's debt. Therefore, incorporation encourages people to invest and conduct business because it reduces their personal financial risk. So the first one case is from Salomon versus Salomon and Co. Ltd. So the leading case on incorporation is Salomon v. A. Salomon and Co. Ltd. In this case, Mr. Salomon formed a company and transferred his business to it. Later, the company became insolvent and creditors argued that Mr. Salomon should personally pay the company's debt. However, the House of Lords decided that the company was a separate legal person from Mr. Salomon. Therefore, the debts belong to the company, not to him personally. So this case is established at the fundamental principle of separate legal personality, which is still recognized and applied by Malaysian courts today.
So the lifting the corporate veil, the definition is the court ignore the company's separate legal personality to identify the individuals controlling the company. So why to prevent? First is from fraud. Second, sham company. Third is evasion of legal obligation. Fourth is abuse of incorporation. Then for the fourth is Malaysian legal principle. The corporate veil may be lifted when statute expressly or by necessarily implication allows it. Second, fraud or improper conduct is involved. And third, the company is a mere facade or alter ego. And last is justice and equity required the court to identify the real wrongdoer. And then for the five is Malaysian persuasive case law. As you know, as Parta Sedia Berhad, Bank Bumi Putra Malaysia Berhad, 1998, Federal Court. The principle is the court may lift the corporate veil where justice requires and where the company structure is used improperly. And then Guilford Motor Co. Ltd. Horn. The principle is a company formed to void contractual obligation and allowing the court to lift the corporate veil. And then the last is Jones v. Lippman, which means the principle, the company was nearly a must used to avoid contractual obligations. So
next, we have relevant case law. So the first Malaysian case is Aspastra Sdn Bhd versus Bank Bumi Putra Malaysia Berhad. So in this case, the federal court held that the corporate veil may be lifted where justice requires it, particularly when the company structure is used improperly. This confirmed that Malaysian courts are willing to disregard separate legal personality when fairness demands it. The second case is Guilford Motor Co. Ltd. versus Horn. Mr. Horn created a company to avoid a contractual restriction preventing him from competing with his former employer. The court found that the company was merely a facade and lifted the corporate veil to hold him personally responsible. The third case is from Jones versus Lipman. Mr. Lipman transferred property to a company that he controlled in order to avoid selling the property under a contract. So the court decided that the company was simply a mask created to escape legal obligation and therefore ignore the company's separate legal identity. Although these last two are English cases, they are persuasive authorities and have influenced Malaysian company law.
Okay, thanks for our previous presenter. Okay, now I will explain about case background and issue. My name is Muhammad Syamin Jalil. Okay, let's start with the background of this dispute. We have a partnership formed by Ali, Brenda and Chen to import electrical goods from Brazil. Everything was fine until the government implemented a trade embargo on Brazil. So now we have a major internal conflict which is Brenda wants to dissolve the partnership while Ali wants to pivot and keep the trading. And lastly, Chen has unfortunately resorted to dishonest illegal transaction. So hence why the big legal question for us today is, does the court grant a dissolution based on a supervening illegality or because the mutual confidence between these partners has completely collapsed? Okay, for the next one, we will discuss about or explain about supervening illegality, section 36. Okay, for the moving to the legal mechanics, let's look at our section 36 of the Partnership Act 1961. This section is very clear, which is if an event makes the business unlawful, the partnership is automatically dissolved. This is because the firm's entire purpose was importing from Brazil. The new trade embargo essentially cuts the legs out of from under the business. Ali might argue that they can just source from us elsewhere, but the court needs to consider if that actually changed the nature of the venture entirely. So the question is, has the original substratum of the business vanished? That is the crux of the argument here that we can discuss further. Okay, the next slide I will explain about fiduciary breach and misconduct. Finally, that we have to address the conduct of the partners, which is if in any partnership there is a core fiduciary duty to act with utmost good faith. Chen has clearly violated this by engaging in black market deals and falsifying the ledger to hide those trades. This isn't just unethical, but it puts the other partners at serious personal risk. Following the principle in Bentley versus Craven, we know that partners cannot profit secretly at the expense of the firm. So that's why ultimately Chen's deceit has done more than just lose money, and it also has destroyed the trust that is fundamental to a partnership, making it practically impossible for the business to continue further. So that's all for me. I will pass to the next presenter, Iskandar. Thank you.
Next is Section 37 of the Partnership Act 1961, which allows the court to dissolve a partnership. Under Section 37C, Chen's illegal transaction and fraud have damaged the partnership's business and reputation. Under Section 37D, his dishonor action make it impossible for the partners to continue working together. Lastly, under Section 37F, the court may dissolve the partnership if it is just and equitable. Since there is a complete breakdown of trust between Ali, Brenda and Chen, this is the stronger ground for dissolution. This is supported by the case of Ray Yenny J. Tobacco Co. Ltd. 1916. The court held that when mutual trust between business partners has completely broken down, the partnership should be dissolved on the just and equitable ground. Similarly, Chen's misconduct destroyed the trust between the partners, so this case supports Brenda application. Brenda has a strong chance of succeeding and should apply for a court-ordered dissolution. Ali cannot force the partnership to continue because the relationship between the partners has already broken down. If he wishes, he can form a new partnership with Brenda without Chen. After dissolution, the assets should be distributed under Section 46 by selling the assets, paying all creditors first, and then distributing the remaining balance among the partners. So, in conclusion, the court is likely to grant the dissolution under Section 37F. Chance, illegal and dishonor conduct destroy the trust between the partners. Since trust is the foundation of every partnership, it is fair and reasonable for the partnerships to be dissolved. Thank you so much.